Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, everyone's talking about the EZA to full power Frieza, but how much does he actually help? So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So right now, the popular discussion on these new two EZAs is that the Namek Super Saiyan Goku is not as good and Frieza is just dominant. And you know what? I thought with the 70% damage mitigation, he was going to be better anyway, but the amount of dominance that people are talking about is quite severe. And I did want to talk a little bit more about team builds in terms of this unit here and see how much he actually helps. So let's go ahead and quickly dive into this unit here. Just quick details. We're going to run this down. It is 180%. Maybe I should have maybe did a video on like the leader skill and maybe build a team around two Friezas, but it's sworn enemies and Planet Namek Saga 180%. It stacks attack at the 12 key, and then the 18 key greatly raises attack and defense. So one of the reasons why this unit is so strong is because that passive skill here provides you a lot of damage mitigation, particularly in the base effects here with the 200% to attack and defense plus 3 to key, and then you get the 20% base. Then with each turn you get additional key here, but then after receiving an attack you also get attack and defense for 50% for 4 turns, and then launches an additional super attack for 4 turns. So that's continuously raising that SA multiplier. And then here's where it's very important that you combine this with this right here. So with each attack received, key plus 1 up to 3 and reduces damage received by 7% up to 20%. Right here is so important because that first turn you're able to guard, and then once you guard and basically capture 3 attacks, this is where you're going to get this permanent buff here. So along with that being a first position unit, so first position 30%, base 20%, and an additional 20%, that is 70% damage mitigation. And really that's very, very strong, especially with the stats that you do have within this unit here. Now you lose tremendous advantage and defensive capability when you are in the second or third position here. I really wish they would have just dropped it to like 10% damage mitigation, because you're pretty much stuck here in first position unless the second or third is maybe one attack that you're willing to risk that's not a super attack there, or in terms, of course, no one attacking in that spot. So that's the reason why they kind of built in this guard for 1 turn, because you do really got to make sure that this happens within the first turn, so you then have that full 70% damage mitigation. Then for 6 turns, you'll have attack and defense up 150%. From the 7th turn, you lose that defense, but again, 70% damage mitigation is strong. And then when there's a superclass enemy, you're going to have crit. And then if you have a Goku enemy, it's guaranteed crit. Superclass was high chance to perform. And then this active skill here is if you're facing one enemy whose class is superclass and HP's 30% or less, then you have this kind of finishing attack there. So that's really what the unit is. So again, focusing more on the first position unit, so you got to make sure that this is going to be running on first position. So I did look at 4 different teams here that you would run this unit on and basically see how much help does this unit actually provide. So one of the biggest issues with Frieza at this point in time is its link partners. It doesn't have strong link partners right now. Maybe when the part 2 Frieza comes out, he's going to link very well because it is a reverse exchange unit, so we should have possibly some relative similar links. I'm not sure. It's Universal Survival Saga, so maybe not. Big Bad Bosses, probably not either. So maybe, yeah, maybe not. That's really problematic with this unit here. So, but again, strong first position. But let's start with the Planet Namek Saga Gifted Warriors Inhuman Deeds team. So as you can see here, this is just a slide from best teams. And you're looking at, for example, Super Vegito and Gotenks here in a rotation. You would kind of have to take that off because you're probably not going to put the Frieza here in position, and then maybe move this over here and move this in 3rd position if you're not running a support unit. So you could do that, I guess, like this here. And then here, and then still have the same, or remove, of course, Gotenks and Super Vegito, and basically kind of create kind of a similarity to that. Or again, you might want to, it will weaken the team, but you'll have, first form Frieza here as an option. So this could be a team that you can, absolutely run. Does it improve the team? I'm not so sure. Yeah, you're gonna have more defense in first position because Gotenks does, lose out a little bit on that when turn. I forget exactly what turn he starts to lose out on his defense, but yeah, that may be an issue. And then in this case, all of them are extreme class. So if you are wanting to run an extreme class team, but the biggest issue if you run against a tech type enemy, you're kind of screwed in terms of this unit in of itself. So and again, you probably don't want to run this unit here. You might run maybe something like this. Again, it's just not linking all that great with Vegeta here. So is this an improvement for Planet Namek Saga Gifted Warriors? Not really, but it does provide you an additional first position unit if you don't have maybe one of these units, particularly that. Particularly like Gotenks or maybe this Tech Broly or something of that nature. So I don't know if it's better. So maybe we even run. Yeah, what can we run? Maybe something like this. No, that's Super Saiyan. That's a legendary Super Saiyan Broly there. Yeah, it's just kind of awkward, right? Kind of awkward, especially with those units here. Again, what I could do is I could bring in the the Planet Namek Saga Goku EZA on this team as well. I don't have him on here for some reason. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts here in terms of the Planet Namek Saga Gifted Warriors. It is an added first position unit, but does it make the team better? Maybe. Maybe not overall, and maybe that's a trend we're going to see on these other teams as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the Lord Slug Demonic Power team, because you're able to run this unit as an Inhuman Deeds unit. So interestingly enough, you're going to see a lot of these teams with the Broly rotation and then the Buuhan Kid Buu rotation. It's a strong rotation. You could have like Beerus and Beast Gohan on this team here with the Lord Slug team, being that he is demonic power. And that's the major thing that you got to make sure when you're running the Lord Slug team is you need to have 3 demonic power units on here. So technically, I don't want to take off the Boos here or Glorio, so it's gonna, in this case, it's gonna replace one of the Broly. So you could have something like this where you're gonna take out the Int Broly, and then you just keep the Tech Broly in here. However, the nice thing about on this team, he is a Terrifying Conqueror and Spatial Dynamic Warrior, so Frieza is going to be maxed out at 200%, whereas these other Brolys here are only running at 170. So I think there is some say here that can make this team, better in a sense. You can even like move Glorio. Oh no, Glorio has to be in 3rd position here. Yeah, something like this. So is this better than having the Brolys? I'm not too sure. So you have Frieza at 200% and Broly's at 170. Might slight advantage to the EZA Frieza here. But I think this does help out a lot more than the Planet Namek Saga one, where it's kind of, again, a little bit disjointed. I think this works out a little bit better. Plus, you have other options you can run as well. So maybe if you don't have the Brolys, you might say, okay, great, I'm going to run maybe, you can't run this Janemba, he's a first position unit. You're going to run this Janemba here instead, and you can take the Brolys out. So that might be something that I might end up running something like this. So again, I think this team, the Full Power Frieza, is a little bit more value and helps out in terms of flexibility and of course defense in the first position if you need one. So let's go ahead and move on to the Buuhan team. So the Buuhan team's interesting. It's basically the same. Right, the Broly's in the position, but the Broly and the Boos, they're all running in 200%, whereas if you bring in the Frieza here, this time Frieza is not running at 200%, so this will be a downgrade in terms of the unit in of itself, unless you want to run you don't want to run Buuhan, or you want to run like Buuhan in 2nd position and Frieza here. Again, the linking issue is problematic, or you can take this out here and then put Kid Buu down here if you don't want to run a support unit. So this could be interesting here, but I do have to then put a down arrow because he's not artificial life forms or uncontrollable power. So I'm going to go back over here. It's kind of a mess now. And then put a down arrow here to the Frieza. So something like this is, definitely interesting, and this is now then a full extreme class unit versus running this unit here as an additional kind of support there. So yeah, I think this is an option, but I think the original option of having Buhan here and Kid Buu is still a better option at 200%. Something like this. I actually like this team better this way. Now, finally, the team that I think most people are kind of thinking about running it on is the Uncontrollable Power Revenge Planetary Destruction Broly team on here. And again, you can see the same type of structure on here, but I think this makes this team better. Even though it doesn't link very well, this first position, you move Broly over here. Now this is going to be mostly every time that you're on rotation, he's going to link up very well. And then you put the full power Frieza here, and then you just have the Int Broly here as a floater position. This makes this team just incredibly strong, like crazy strong here. So very impressive. And then again, this team, you can have Injanemba in first position. So you do have a lot of first position options now on the extreme class teams that I just kind of quickly went over here. I think it's impressive. I think it helps out a lot of the flexibility, especially the ones that you don't have a particular unit. Maybe that Tech Broly has been escaping you. However, you should be able to pull him in part 2. And again, I am recording this before part 2 does drop, so we're interested in seeing with part 2 coming out what are some teams that you can run. I'm guessing possibly successors will be a team that you're going to be running, and that actually can end up being a team that you're going to run this full power Frieza on in first position. So interestingly enough, I think this does make this team a little bit better. If you're going to be running Broly as a floater. And sometimes I would say a lot of people are running this in first position here, and you're doing something like this, and you can do like something like this, and then have the Boos down here as a floater position. It's wild. This team is wild. This team's so strong. So he's probably going to move up in the ranks because I did not have the hardened event, the hardened grudge event, or whatever that new event is that's in between Battlefield and Red Zone. Yeah, this team is actually just absolutely ridiculous. So how was I structuring this before? Now it's all messed up here. Let me move this all back. So with that, I just wanted to just make this video here. Again, a lot of people are talking about this full power Frieza, and I thought I'd just give you my 2 cents on him. He's a fantastic unit, but again, he's locked into first position. And you do want to watch out when you're having fights against individuals that do lock you in a different position, and you might end up dying because of that. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.